if we're this far in the hole with a better deal, you can imagine how bad things were before. But that's another part of the journey, and we'll see what happens.
One of the things that was interesting to me about this film was...
You like how we just jumped to the Q&A? We didn't... They didn't need any... What'd you say?
Things that are interesting to me is the idea of this new 360 contract that ours in, which you were fortunate not to get in. I was reading even Justin Bieber's in a 360 contract, which means that the record company taking advantage of young Canadian children.
That sounds very wrong. It is, I think a lot of people... How many people learned about the 360 deal because of this film? It's interesting, right? I think a lot of people are pretty shocked by that. A lot of people are pretty shocked by the fact that if I sat down at and sang a song right now, if I just made up a song, I wouldn't have real ownership over that song. And I hope that people watch this movie, artists and audiences out there watch the movie and have a greater understanding about the way that the business works, because it doesn't have to work like this. You can still have a record company that plays a very important role and also treats its artists and its employees really well, and everyone can be happy, be profitable, and be fair. And that's, I hope that does happen.
So, all right, let's take some questions. We're going to do this in an orderly way. We're gonna raise our hands. I'm going to call on you, and then you're going to ask your question. Okay, the woman who said please. But that's the only time you're going to get away with that.
My question is, Jared, is we see the struggle that you guys, that you particularly, because you're so much in the film, went through, but what I feel is missing is like Tomo and Shannon, and so I'm just kind of curious if that was captured on film and you chose to omit it, and if you did, why, or it just wasn't captured on film and they're just kind of like...
I love how people think that I purposely cut them out of the movie because, well, number one, they weren't there every day like I was. You know, not everybody shows up to work every day. Sometimes Toma likes a day off for 4. So you gotta talk to him. You know, I think that I was handling a lot of the day in, day out business in the battle. So you see a lot of that. They weren't on those phone calls. I didn't want them to be on the phone calls, and they really, really didn't want to be on those phone calls. So that's just the way that it happened. You know, Shannon doesn't really like to be in front of the camera or to talk that much. He prefers to play the drums, and that's just the way that it is. You know, a lot of times I have to drag them kicking and screaming to do press and promo and things. They just say that, you know, it's not their thing. So sometimes I think people are like, well, why don't they? We want to see them more. You know, feel free to tell them that. I'd love for them to do more as well.
No, I just wasn't sure if it was just something that maybe didn't come through in the narrative, and that's why I was asking.
No, it's just the way that it was. We have very little. I told Shannon when I was sitting with Shannon last night, a lot of you guys saw us sitting next to each other, which was funny to sit next to each other when the fight scene came on. We always laugh about now, but I told him that it was surprising how much he ended up in the movie. Because oftentimes we were filming and he would ask us to stop. He didn't want the cameras rolling, so we stopped rolling, and I'd kind of say, hey man, let's keep the cameras rolling if we can. And I didn't want to. But he ended up in a lot in the film, which I'm glad, because he's great in the film. He's great on camera, and so is Tomo. So, you know, we'll keep encouraging them to show their faces more.
All right, got a question there on the end.
With each other that in a way that's really exciting and interactive, and not just have a typical broadcast or a download that's online, but have it be more engaging and more about sharing it with your friends. So I think that technology will provide a lot of solutions. At least I hope so.
This woman who's had her hand up in the black.
So you've used Artifact to kind of educate people a lot about how the music industry works. Have you ever thought about an outreach program using the Hive Live or Bert to kind of reach out to people that may not be so educated, that may not see Artifact, and tell them about the record industry?
I mean, helping other people is wonderful, and I hope that this film does this. It's a really powerful medium. I mean, film is incredibly infectious and inspiring. I don't think that I would be here on this stage had I not watched films as a kid. They taught me to dream. They taught me that you could accomplish great things. They showed me parts of the world and parts of humanity that I never knew existed. And I hope that this film can do that, can provide some sort of solution for people. And I think a lot of young artists will look at this and maybe take another moment, a little bit of a pause before they sign a deal. And maybe they'll come up with other solutions on their own. We took that little bit of money, it was a very little bit of money, and then invested it in ourselves. It was in hindsight a really it was the right thing to do, but scary at times.
All right, this woman in red has her hand up.
Hi.
Sure.
So my question is, going through everything that you've gone through with the lawsuit and putting together Artifact and your amazing tour, what advice would you give not only yourself, but your crew that you work with, who's amazing? I don't know what I'm but yourself, your crew, Tomo and Shannon, from day one that everything started.
What do you mean?
Like, going back to, like, I guess, where the film started with the tour footage,
Yeah.
and then going back to, 3 years. What
Sure.
advice?
What advice would I give my earlier self?
Your
My inner
earlier
child?
self,
If you could do it all over again.
no, not would you do it all over again, just what advice would you give yourself, the crew, Shannon and Tomo, to, I guess, kind of ease the stress of everything? Because there were some really stressful times that,
Yeah. It was a very challenging time. We're working on a new album now, and I'll tell you, bye guys, see you later. Yeah, I know, priorities. Gotta get over to Second Cup and get a... Yeah. That's how you know.
It's a film festival.
That's how you know. Just gonna let a little moment pass here to reset. So I'm working on a new album right now. That's what I was talking about. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? So a new album. And it's a lot more fun to make a record when you're not being sued for $30 million. So that's kind of an answer to your question. We're actually having a great time in the studio. It's not a dubstep record, but it's a very different record and really fun.
yes, last row was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a great time.
All right, another woman in red-ish here.
Speaking of the new album, do you have any idea when it's coming out? Please, for the love of God, don't say soon.
When is the new album coming out?
I hope that it will come out sooner rather than later. Sorry.
Would you be happier with later?
Yeah, I'll just say later instead of sooner.
Good question up in the balcony.
Hi, I'm just wondering, where do you get a lot of your directorial and visual inspirations? I notice you touch a lot on the BDSM kind of culture.
Touch on the what?
BDSM culture, like a lot of the gas masks.
There's always a dirty birdie here in the area.
There's always more than one.
I know. There you are. I never recognized you out of costume there. You get glasses on? It's the wildest outfit I've seen you in yet.
What am I going to design for you? What am I going to design for you?
Oh, anytime. So the question, influence. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that I've been very vocal about my influences, whether it's great films like The Last Emperor or Kubrick. I've stolen quite shamelessly from a lot of these guys. and paid tribute to them, whether it was in The Kill or in From Yesterday. But you know, I get inspired a lot by visual art as well. But the great filmmakers of the 70s really probably influenced me the most. The Scorseses, the Coppolas, and beyond.
Okay, we have time for a couple more questions. The person waving their hand in the back.
How has the other artists also adapted to you? Have they said anything to you, or they respect you more for how hard you fought for it? Have they even
What feedback have you gotten from other musicians about your fight?
Really supportive feedback, and we weren't unfortunately able to interview every single artist that wanted to. Not the schedules didn't always, stars didn't always align. But we're really grateful to Chester, to Serge, to Amanda, to Brandon, and to people like Daniel Levitan and Neil Strauss for being a part of the film. And I mean, we could interview artists for the next year that would gladly talk to us about their difficulties with their labels or their publishers, and we'd all learn a lot. So. We've got a lot of support from that, and I'm excited to show it to more people. But very few people have seen the music. I mean, seen the movie. You're part of a very small group of people that have experienced Artifacts so far, and you know, I'm glad that you all have enjoyed it and given us such positive feedback. It's really wonderful.
I don't know if any of you are on Twitter or anything like that, but maybe you could, spread the word.
Yeah, exactly. Spread the word.
Okay, who's got the best question in the house?
A burning desire.
How about this young lady right here?
Alright, so while you're making This Is War, you obviously didn't have like the record companies, management, and like promotion and stuff like that. Is that why you created the Hive, to promote This Is War after you guys recorded it?
Yeah. So why did we create the Hive? Yeah, we created the Hive so we didn't have to rely, or depend upon a system that was antiquated, especially at the time, broken and unreliable. That's why we did it, so that we had some autonomy, that we could do things creatively, so that we could do things that were exciting and immediate. At that time, when we started the Hive, really, it was very hard to get things done and get things done in a timely way, in a very forward-thinking way. So it's evolved a lot, the Hive, and we've had a lot of success with it. We're able to share a ton of content online with everybody all the time, and we know it's never enough, but we'll continue to try to share as much as we can. Any other question about Artifact that anybody here? Is there anybody here from the film festival that wasn't 30 seconds, that didn't come here just for 30 Seconds to Mars, that came here for the film, that has a question?
Okay, how about way in the back there?
Yeah, that guy waving your hand, yeah.
I'm actually just curious. Do you own the film, or does EMI own the film? Good question.
It's a good question. Do I own the film, or does EMI own the film? And I do proudly say that I own the film. And I can't tell you what a battle it was to own the film. We included one scene on the mountaintop when I'm talking to Irving and Peter Paterno, and there's this revelation that EMI has found out about the film, and now they want to own the film. Which is ridiculous because they have nothing to do with the film. Why should they have any right to own it at all? And then they said, okay, well, if you're going to own the film, we own all the music in the film. Which is bizarre, but they still have some ownership of the music that's in the film. And I thought I made that point pretty clearly when I play the piano and I say to Tomo, it's not yours, it's not mine. We don't own it, so that's still a battle that we have to fight. But we're going to work out a release strategy and figure out the best way to share the movie. Do we put it in theaters? Do we put it on Vert? Do we, bring it on tour or just put it on iTunes and Netflix? But we'll get it out there. We're eager to share it with people. Yes, you in the middle with the shade.
This is the last question, then we have to wrap up, and you guys have to go vote for this film. So whoever Jared called on.
Yep.
What is the best way then for media, merchandise, or whatever to support what's the best way to knowing all this? How do you support a band without feeling dirty? Well, I think that you can't separate the theft or people downloading music illegally with the feelings that people have about the record business. Not everybody has a bad feeling. Not everybody knows about the record business, but there's certainly not a lot of love out there. And I do think that plays a role. I think that if people knew there was a company and people had a lot of support for that company, Vert, I think, is a good example of this. People have a lot of love for Vert, and they've had great experience with it, although not perfect yet. It's been a really, people understand that we're trying to do something there that's different and special, so they support it in kind, and they're not everybody's out just stealing and propagating that material. But the best way to support an artist is directly. Buy a ticket, buy a t-shirt, buy the album. If you can't afford it, steal it, or steal it if you like it, buy it. I mean, whatever makes you sleep well at night. I don't really care. I don't get in the middle of that debate. I'm happy if people, if given the choice, if you're going to steal my album and listen to it, or not listen at all, steal it and listen to it, of course. If you want to buy it, I guess buy it. I'm never going to see the money anyway. So, do I steal it and give me the money? How about that?
Right, so we do have to wrap this up. I want to remind you to vote. It's an election year. You can take your ticket stub, put it in the white box outside, or go to tiff.net/vote.
Yeah, every single person in here, please take your ticket stub, stick it to win it. Is that what I was saying yesterday? But you guys
pick it with your ticket.
Pick it with your ticket. Pick it with your ticket, because we may have a chance. You never know, to win the People's Choice. That would be really fun if we all won that together. So stick it in the bucket out there.
Thanks very much.